Kelenic, the batter.
Kelenic.
Kelenic straight away center field. Let's make it 3 in a row.
I think you would have some trouble finding a Seattle Mariners fan who has not been pleased with how Jarred Kelenic has started off his 2023 campaign. Jarred Kelenic, as we know, has been a top prospect within the Mariners system, a guy that we really needed to kind of burst onto the scene and just hasn't had that success until this year. We saw him doing great things in spring training. We didn't really know if that was going to translate right away to the regular season because spring training numbers don't really mean a whole lot. However, in 2023 so far, it is through only 11 games. Kelenic has looked like one of the best hitters in baseball. He currently ranks 4th in all of MLB with a 213 WRC+, and with this immense success at the plate, it's only a matter of time until Jarred Kelenic gets his own merch from Simply Seattle. Boys, make it happen, please. And when they do, guys, community, make sure to use code Mojo10 at checkout for all your Simply Seattle orders. If you want to gear up for the Mariners, if you want to gear up for the Kraken's playoff run, they all have it available over at simplyseattle.com. Remember, use code Mojo10 at checkout for 10% off of your order. Some of the biggest changes for Kelenic so far in 2023 have been his hard hit percentage, which is up 26%, his exit velocity, which is up 8 miles an hour from last year, and his strikeout percentage is down 7%, which is obviously a good thing. You're striking out less, you're making more hard contact with the ball, you're likely going to see a bit more success. So in 11 games, Kelenic has 37 at-bats, 13 hits, just 10 less from last year where he had like 160 at-bats. He has 3 home runs, he's got a 351 average, a 415 OBP, a 703 slugging with a 1,117 OPS, and like I said, a 213 WRC plus with a 211 OPS plus, just because there's a slight difference there between Baseball Reference and Fangraphs in terms of statistical, conglomerate stats. But Kelenic, he's been a standout star for the Mariners so far in 2023, but what does that really mean? What can we really expect out of Kelenic? Obviously, 350 with a 200 plus, WRC plus, OPS plus is not fully sustainable. Aaron Judge had a 200 WRC plus last year, but that took him hitting 62 home runs. That's not sustainable. That's not what we're going to see out of Jarred Kelenic, but if it is, watch out, the rest of the world.
Oh, look, he's flying.
Because it's going to be a crazy year for the Seattle Mariners. I expect some regression to the mean a little bit here. The original Fangraphs projection had him at 102 WRC plus, I believe, for Steamer, so 2 points better than league average. At this rate, what we've seen out of Jarred Kelenic in such a tiny sample size, I could see it being at least above 110, maybe 120, because there might be, the dog days of summer where he regresses a little bit and goes back to some old habits if he's pressing or chasing a bit more, because he is still striking out. It's, 25-ish% of the time. It's a quarter of his at-bat. So that's, you find yourself in a bad count, you're swinging at a pitch that you probably shouldn't, you don't make contact one time, and you're out. Your at-bat's over, and you got to go up the next time, and you're pressing. So this is not sustainable. However, he is en route to potentially an all-star bid if he can continue some semblance of success at the plate. Now, I don't know if many people would have pegged Jarred Kelenic as a potential all-star for the 2023 season with the all-star game being in Seattle. I know a lot of people definitely would have had Julio Rodriguez as the, number one potential there. Ty France, who was an all-star last year, likely was gonna see some hype around him, and then maybe for the pitching side, Luis Castillo, Andres Munoz. That'd be probably right around where it would stop for realistic all-star picks. But out of the all-stars from the previous 2 seasons in 2021 and 2022, we've got Teoscar Hernandez, Aaron Judge, and Mike Trout in 2021, and then Judge and Trout again with Giancarlo rounding out the outfield in 2022, with some reserves from 2021 being Michael Brantley, Joey Gallo, Adolis Garcia, and Cedric Mullins, and the reserves in 2022 being Byron Buxton, Kyle Tucker, George Springer, Andrew Benintendi, and our Julio Rodriguez. Only 3 of them had a higher OPS than Jarred Kelenic has right now through the first 11 games of their respective all-star campaigns. In 2021, Cedric Mullins had a 1.161 OPS and Trout had a 1.145. And then in 2022, Trout had a 1.273 OPS, with Byron Buxton also beating Jarred Kelenic's 1.118 right now with a 1.231 OPS. Buxton got off to a very hot start in the previous season in 2022, which led to promising first half of the season for him. But as we know, Buxton definitely does get derailed by some injuries here and there. Now, this is a case-by-case situation here. Only 3 players had higher OPSs than Jarred Kelenic, and some of these guys even regressed by the next month. Those 2 guys, Cedric Mullins and Byron Buxton, had a 732 OPS for Mullins in May, and then Buxton had a 610 OPS in May. So just because they had over 1,000 in the month of March and April doesn't necessarily mean they need to sustain that success for the entirety of the first half of the season to get some all-star bids there, get some votes for those guys. Mullins 732 and Buxton at 610. They eventually still, continue to hit the ball well. They bounce back in some months, but if Jared Kelenic maybe regresses a bit in May, like it seems like the Mariners just have this curse on them in May, he could still find his way to some all-star bids if he continues to hit very well. And some of these guys that were all-stars didn't necessarily start off super hot either. They didn't start heating up until around the month of June, maybe even in July as well. Got some big boppers here in the month of June. Kyle Tucker started soaring for the Astros in June with a 958 OPS. And also Julio, he started figuring it out also in May, but mainly in June there with a 903 OPS, which led to him earning the Mariners All-Star nod there as well. And then Joey Gallo for the Rangers in 2021 had a 1.105 OPS in the month of June. So it was hot down there in Texas, and the ball was leaving the yard like no other. And even if Kelenic does have this one historic season, it's also not 100% confirmed that he's going to continue to have sustained success throughout his career. Avisail Garcia is a guy that in 2017 was an all-star for the Chicago White Sox. It's his highest year OPS plus wise at 138, and he's never made an all-star appearance after that. Another guy early on in the 2000s, Jason Bay, was a monster in Pittsburgh, made 2 all-star appearances there, had an OPS plus of 150 in his first all-star appearance in 2005, but he regressed really, really hard after a while. He also made an all-star appearance in Boston, where he had a 134 OPS plus for the entire year, finished 7th in MVP voting that year, and won Silver Slugger. So it's never going to be Jared Kelenic is going to continue to hit like the Mike Trouts of the world and Aaron Judge, who's had great success. He needs to continue to prove it, and that's why you don't know how much you can play around with this sample size, but it is just fun to look at. Now, this early season success is not 100% a guarantee for an all-star bid. Those are just some fun stats to play around with some previous all-stars, but Jared Kelenic is sitting pretty. He's in control of his own destiny, essentially, because he is leading All-American League outfielders in OPS right now. Kyle Tucker's right behind him. Luis Roberts playing really well right now. You've got guys like Judge and Trout who are just dogs that are going to continue to hit. So whether or not Jared Kelenic is a starter or a reserve, it's yet to be seen. It's 11 games. There's no way to figure out where he's going to be at by the time July rolls around. But taking a look at this early season success, kind of just fun to think about Jared Kelenic being an all-star this year. And we did have a video where we made some predictions about what the 2023 Mariners could have some bold predictions in there. You might want to see what number 1 is because Colton might have hit the nail on the head. Make sure you go check out that one. And thank you guys for watching this one, and go Mariners.